The difference between urban schools and rural schools is simply the population. They are both there to accomplish the exact same thing. One of these two, however, is designed to do this a little bit better. Let's take a look at two public high schools from Connecticut, just a few miles away from each other. The first one is Darien High School. This school is placed in the top 1% of all schools in the state for overall test scores. The student-teacher ratio is 11-1, and the minority enrollment is 10% of the student body. The second is New Britain High School. This school is placed in the bottom 50% of all schools in the state for overall test scores. The student-teacher ratio is 19-1, and the minority enrollment is 81% of the student body. Can you guess which school has easy access to guidance counselors, school psychologists, personal laptops, and up-to-date textbooks? In this comic, there are two boats floating next to each other. One of the boats is labeled Inner City Schools, and the boat seems to be falling apart with holes throughout the ship. There is an overwhelming number of children on the boat. Some are even falling off of the boat itself. There are other little things that are happening on the ship as well. For example, we can see at the top there is a gunman shooting out onto the ocean. On the side, a lifeboat labeled Charter is filled with a few students, and there's a group of students labeled Magnet on the other side. The second ship is labeled Rich Suburban Schools. This ship has a fraction of the students from the other boat, and there are no holes of any kind. It is completely stable. There are also students at the top painting, playing instruments, and looking through a telescope. Two adults on the side are saying, in reference to the other ship, why can't they ever arrange their deck chairs right? This likely symbolizes how any administrators who are able to help these unprivileged schools focused on proving the entirely wrong thing and let the actual problem just slide as if nothing is wrong at all. A noticeable difference is also seen in the stature of each ship as well as the waves along the bottom of each. The unprivileged ship is significantly smaller than the privileged boat, and while the privileged ship is standing tall and firm, the unprivileged ship is almost slouching and just looks weak. The waves along the bottom of the unprivileged boat are small, while the other ship's waves are larger, like it's moving quicker throughout the ocean. This shows how unprivileged schools are quickly falling behind academically, and their students are being hurt because of it. The wage gap faced between these two areas, as depicted from the graphic, isn't a super easy task to fix. One method that's proven to help is by providing jobs within the community. By giving jobs to the parents as well as the students themselves, they can be turned away from the streets. The only reason they are forced to sell drugs and to become involved in gang activity is because they need the income that comes along with it. If jobs could be available for inner city communities, then it could help as a replacement for criminal activity. To keep children off of the streets, community centers should be offered in these neighborhoods. While these families and children become involved in activities by the center, they form a bond with their community and want to see it being bettered instead of destroyed by crime. These centers also offer a distraction to the youth of the community. When kids are just sitting in their houses, they get bored and commonly get in with the wrong crowd. If they can just relax with good people at the community centers, this problem can be eliminated. Other activities offered by the community center include educational classes, therapy, and sports. All of these things are there to help students better themselves in a way they can't learn from home or schools. The therapy given is also a way for students to express their anger and aggression in a positive, non-violent manner. Schools with less funding supply teachers with less motivation to put real effort into connecting and making an impact on their students. These schools lack music or arts programs because there's no room in the budget for it, but this takes away a creative outlet which many students use as a way to express the pain they have built up inside of them. In Baltimore cities, there are many schools that lack proper air conditioning, roofing, clean drinking water, and other essentials students need to have a healthy environment to learn for the 5 out of the 7 days of the week. These problems could all be fixed if a fraction of the money put into building new high-tech schools went to the schools with real day-to-day problems. In these poor school districts, the students face more trouble at home. Many are introduced to the effects of drug and alcohol abuse at a very early age, and for most students, it's very difficult to get away from this type of violence after school. This all just shows the importance of schools for these young children. Their education is the only thing able to get them out of the inner city, and without the support of the educational system, more and more criminals will be created every day. Schools with higher rates of poverty receive $1,000 less per student than schools with lower rates of poverty. If this gap was even, then these schools could be introducing new courses, better teachers, and up-to-date technology. Instead, the students are suffering because of the failure of the state. The health of the students and faculty are being risked because of low budgets as well. Baltimore Public Schools need a $3 billion investment in order to restore all existing schools. This money would go towards fixing leaky roofs, rusting pipes, broken elevators, and getting rid of the lead contamination in the drinking water. These are just a few things on the long list of renovations Baltimore schools need. A school's second job is to give their students an education. The first is to protect their students while they're away from home, but public schools can't even do that. The school system is letting these students down by not fairly providing them with an education to get them to graduation. And with these billions of dollars of maintenance required, the school systems are failing to provide a healthy and safe environment for the students. But an even distribution of funds need to be supplied to lower-class urban communities in order to bring up their test scores and produce better students. If schools continue down this path where the needs of high-poverty schools are placed beneath those of lower-poverty schools, those at-risk students will continue to end up in jail, and many will continue to die. Another thing worthy of change in the educational system is teacher education. There are a lot of teachers out there that aren't being taught the skills necessary for teaching in urban schools, and in turn, these teachers are failing the students. If these changes were to occur, the students would be put on a path to success they may have never even imagined for themselves.